Hey, this is Daz from the Frugal Gamer website, and I'm back with another video. And this time we're going to be checking out this officially licensed Nacon Revolution X wired controller that's compatible with the Xbox One, Series X, Series S and Windows 10 PCs. This costs around £90 and is aimed at the more serious or competitive gamer that would be considering something like an Elite controller or a Scuff controller, both of which cost a lot more than the Revolution X. If you stay around to the end of the video, I'll tell you how to find the best deals for this controller. This was sent to us for review by Nacon, but we've received no payments or instructions on what to say for the review. I will give you my honest opinion based on my time spent using the controller, covering both positive and negative aspects that I have found. This will solely be reviewed using the Xbox Series X console, as I don't own a gaming PC. So let's take a look inside the box and see if this bad boy is worth the money. Inside the box you'll find the instructions and a card that gives you the info on how to unlock the Dolby Atmos features that this controller offers. Then there's the actual controller itself that's presented in this really cool hard protective case. Inside the protective case you'll find a microfiber cleaning cloth, there's also this box of accessories, then you get the controller itself, and last of all there's this 3-meter braided nylon USB-C cable that's used to connect the controller to the console or PC. I really like this hard case and it's a great way to store the controller and all its accessories. Inside the accessory box you'll get two 10, 14 and 16 gram weights that fit inside the handles of the controller to give you a little bit extra weight. You also get some metal adjustment rings that fit over the shaft of the thumbsticks, along with two dome thumbstick caps. And I'll show you how all these fit onto the controller in a little bit. The first thing you're probably going to need to figure out before buying this controller is whether or not you're happy with a wired controller, as it is 100% wired and it has no wireless functionality. I used to really hate wired controllers, but I really don't mind them now, and the fact that it's wired helps reduce latency, which is really important if you're a competitive gamer. This controller also grants you free access to the Dolby Atmos app on the Microsoft Store, which I'll explain in more details later in the video. Straight away this controller looks very similar to the standard Xbox controller, and Nacon hasn't done anything crazy with the design, and it definitely looks like an officially licensed product. It does feel a little bigger than the classic controller and is slightly lighter when it doesn't have the weights fitted. It keeps the classical asymmetrical staggered thumbstick layout, which I prefer to the symmetrical design that's on the PlayStation controllers. These just feel more comfortable. After using this for several hours, I really like the way it feels in your hands. Sometimes when you're using third-party controllers, you can feel that you're not using the original controller that come with the console, and something feels a little bit off. But I really think this feels natural, and I hardly notice that I'm using a third-party product. When it comes to the build quality, the controller does feel sturdy, but the plastic materials do feel a little cheaper than that used on the classic Xbox controller. I like the fact that this has a matte black finish with an embossed pattern in it, which not only helps with the grip, but it also means that it's not a fingerprint magnet. Now I'm going to show you how to fit all the accessories to the controller, and first of all we're going to add the weights, and to do this you have to slide the covers of the grips down and they will pop off. You then choose the weights that you'd like to fit and press them in firmly. Once you feel them click in, you can put the cover back on. and you can mix and match the weights until you're happy with the feel of the controller. Now let's add the metal shafts that will change the range of motion of the thumbsticks, and to fit these you'll need to remove the heads of the thumbsticks, then you choose the ring that you require and slide it over the shaft. The thicker the ring, the less range of motion you'll get from the stick. These are one thing that I won't be using myself, as I found the thumbsticks were perfect out of the box, but they are a nice option to have. You can now either put the original concaved heads back on the sticks or use the dome ones that came in the box. I found the dome ones to be a little bit more slippery than the default ones, so I don't use them. It's just a matter of finding what feels right for you. When it comes to the buttons on this controller, I really like them, and I prefer them to those on both the classic controller and the Elite. They have a chunky and bold design and feel satisfying when you press them. There is no noticeable input lag, and the presses are registered pretty instantly. So let's talk about the thumbsticks, and these are another thing I'm very impressed with on this controller, is they seem extremely accurate. Movements are precise and well controlled, and they have a good range of motion. They feel equally as good, if not better, than those on the first party controller. And don't forget, you also have the metal adjustment rings and the Nacon software that can help to tailor the feel of your thumbsticks to your exact requirements. I find the sticks way better than those on the Xbox Elite 2 controller, which I had stick drift issues with straight out of the box for 2 controllers, and I had to return them both. I've had no stick drift issues with this controller so far. Check out this snazzy LED ring that's at the base of the right thumbstick, and this again is customizable in the Nacon software. The D-pad is something that I feel is not quite as good as that on the classic controller, as I feel it's a little bit more clunky and the motion seems less smooth than that on the other controller. As I don't really play a lot of fighting games or games that rely heavily on the D-pad, it's hard for me to tell if this has much of an impact on the gameplay, but from what I have played, it's the actual physical feel of the D-pad that I'm disappointed with, rather than the way it affects the game. You can also change the D-pad from 4-way to 8-way movement using the app, which will come in very handy when playing games like Mortal Kombat. As well as the standard option buttons, you also get a share button that makes it really easy to share your gameplay clips and screenshots. I'm a big fan of the triggers on the Revolution X. They feel ergonomical and extremely comfortable when your fingers are resting on them due to the shape and the fact they're slightly larger than those on the classic controller. Just like the thumbsticks, these feel very responsive and smooth. They have a nice amount of travel before fully registering the input, and I've noticed no input lag when using them. I'm slightly disappointed that there's no physical trigger stops on the Nacon Revolution X, but you can kind of mimic their functions by customizing the triggers using the software. The triggers also have haptic feedback, which helps make the games feel really immersive and is great when playing games like Call of Duty or Forza, as it makes them feel more realistic. The bumper buttons also do a good job, but I do find the clicking noise they make to be a little distracting. Now in my opinion, you can't call it a pro controller without having back buttons, and I think these are one of the main features that people pick up this type of controller, as they really do give you an advantage when playing games, which is important if you're a competitive gamer. This has 4 back buttons in total, 2 larger ones that are located on the back of the controller and 2 smaller buttons that are built into the side of the grips. These can be mapped to carry out the functions of the buttons on the front of the controller, and this can be done by using the software or switching the toggle button on the rear of the controller to classic mode. Using the controller itself, you then need to hold down the profile button for 3 seconds until the LED ring starts flashing, indicating that it's in setup mode. You then simply hold down the back button that you wish to program and then press the function button on the face of the controller that you'd like to map to that back button. Rinse and repeat until you've mapped all the back buttons that you want to use, and then hold down the profile button for another 3 seconds and it will now store your new configuration. I find this method way easier than using the software, and it only takes under a minute for me to fully remap the back buttons. I love the larger back buttons on this controller and prefer them way more to those on the Xbox Elite 2 controller. They're very well placed, really responsive, and have a satisfying click when pressed. Now, I have got quite chunky hands, and I was interested in seeing how somebody with smaller hands got on with the controller, so I've got my daughter to test it out. She liked the thumbsticks, triggers and buttons, but found that the controller itself was a little bit too big for her hands. She said she would be able to adapt to it, but prefers the form of the Nacon Pro Compact controller that I have previously reviewed, as that is a little bit smaller. The Revolution X does have a rumble feature, and this is very good, and when it's set to the stronger setting it's really powerful. Plus you have trigger haptics, which is an added bonus. Again, the strength of the vibration can be adjusted using the software. As for inputs on the controller, there's a USB-C port where you plug in the 3m USB-A to USB-C cable, plus a 3.5mm audio port where you can plug in your headset. The cable that comes with the controller is about as good as a USB cable can get, and it fits in the controller very securely. Now, it seems like I've been bashing on about the Nacon software for the entire video, so let's take a look at what you can do with it. And first off, you'll need to check the leaflet that came inside the box to find out how to get the app for the PC or off the Xbox Live Store. Once installed, you can start customizing the controller to your needs. And to do that, you're going to need to switch the toggle on the back of the controller to advanced mode. The first screen that you'll see will be the home page, where you can carry out updates for the controller. Then you can choose to change pre-configured controller profiles, or you can create your own, and you can name your own profiles so that they're easy to remember. You can switch profiles when playing games by pressing the profile button on the back of the controller. And this is the page where you can remap all the buttons shown here to carry out different functions, which is pretty damn impressive. You also have the option to adjust the response curves and dead zones of the thumbsticks, as well as altering the sensitivity of the triggers, and as you can see on the screen, Nacon does give you a little guidance on the settings. And this is the page where you can adjust the audio for any headphones that you've got plugged into the controller, and this is completely separate from the Dolby Atmos app, which I will go over in a second. And on the last page you can customize the vibration feature and the LED ring. You can adjust the colour of the light and choose from a few lighting modes that include a pulsing and a prism effect, which makes the controller look pretty badass. You can also adjust the intensity of the light so you don't blind yourself when playing in the dark. Like I've said before, this controller gives you free access to the Dolby Atmos app, which you'll need to download off the Microsoft Store. Dolby Atmos is activated when you plug wired headphones into the 3.5mm audio port on the controller and play supported games. The app will help create virtual surround sound, which really helps with things like sound separation that allows you to hear individual sounds and effects and what direction the noise is coming from, which is great for shooting games. I've used this feature on other Nacon controllers, and the more I've used it, the more I'm impressed with it. It really does improve the sound quality of even the most basic headsets. So the question is, do I think this controller is worth the £90 price tag? And the answer is yes. In my opinion, the Nacon Revolution X controller is definitely worth the money and is crammed with features. Best of all, it's way cheaper than the Elite controller and alternatives like the Scuff controllers, and in my opinion it offers unrivaled customization and features at a very reasonable price. This is not going to suit everybody's budget, but if you are looking to get on the Pro controller ladder, this is a great option. And don't forget that this can also be used on Windows 10 PCs as well, so PC gamers can also get a piece of the action. So overall, I highly recommend this controller, and I think it offers great value for money compared to the competition. I will list the current best deals for this controller on our website, so visit frugalgaming.co.uk and just search for the Nacon Revolution X controller in the search bar, or just click the link that I've left in the description box on this video. And if you like this video, please do me a massive favour and subscribe to our channel. I really appreciate you checking out this review, and I'll catch you on the next one.